This is a part of what I love so much about this time of year. The farmers are busy. The harvest is here. And it won't be too much longer before the great pumpkin is upon us. Greetings, fellow followers of the strange. You find me once again here in my car. Or do you? How do you know I'm really in a car? How do you know it's not AI generated? Have you ever seen me in a car? Have I ever picked you up in a car? Come to think of it, have you ever really seen me? Well, this is the video that I've wanted to do every year and say I'm going to do, and then I don't. And I won't make it a long one. As usual, I've put no effort into building a set. I've not even done so much as make a note so that I don't forget things, which is why I will forget all of the most exciting things that have ever happened to me at this time of year, including my barely escaping a rundown asylum. And I was not a doctor, I'll tell you that. This thing. I'm smoking one of my Meerschaums today. Nice apple. It's really colored up nicely. The shape is wonderful, the rustication, it just fits great in the hand. In it is HU Nashville County. Which I think, if it continues to perform the way it has been, may easily enter my daily rotation. I love Halloween. I love the fall in general, everything about it. The leaves falling from the tree, that transition from all of the sunshine and heat to the overcast days, even the days like this where it's a murky, cloudy day. I realize that many people suffer from a very specific form of depression when the light disappears, but I seem to be one of those people that really enjoys those overcast days. In fact, my chronic depression generally takes a small break during the fall, even into the winter. But Halloween was something I looked forward to every year, particularly when I was a little kid, because I have nothing but good memories of Halloween. I'm not going to give a dissertation here on the history of Samhain and everything that has evolved beyond that and the Americanized Halloween. I'm not going to do that. There's a link to a short video in my community section, which I know you all read regularly, if you're interested in that, but why would you be? I'm sure you've already watched many documentaries on the subject. So from Samhain and the ancient Celts to modern Halloween in America. Well, what was it about as a kid? Well, I think as a kid, it's simple. You get to dress up. You get to be somebody else for a couple of hours, an evening, whatever you get. Be anything you want. Count Dracula, superhero, whatever. We weren't wealthy, so there were no store-bought costumes. We had to make all of our costumes up and be very creative. Once in a while, we might have an inexpensive mask, but that was very rare. Usually, we would just paint our faces up. Look a little bit like an anemic vampire. Some blood down the cheeks, maybe a set of plastic fangs. Maybe something sprayed on the hair to color it. Who knows? Whatever we could find and get together. Whatever clothing we could make look graveyard-like. And when I was real small, I could really enjoy it. We lived in a very, very, very small town. I loved that town and my childhood in it. I would later discover that it was causing my father some difficulty because of the drive he had to make to work, but as a child, I knew nothing of that. All I knew was this magical little town, and everybody knew each other for good and bad. But at Halloween, it was just so much fun. Everybody participated in Halloween. There were very few people that didn't have the porch light on, and you went after dark. You didn't have to go before dark. That's some stuff that has changed, and I'm going to go over that stuff perhaps in another video. I don't want it to spoil my joy. Well, we would go out after dark. Everybody's porch light would be on. In those days, people frequently gave out homemade treats. There was an elderly couple not far from us that every year it was a homemade popcorn ball and a large caramel-dipped apple covered in nuts. They spent all day making that stuff up for Halloween night. Oddly enough, the cheapskate of the town was the bank president. He had a beautiful home that's set up on this little hill, and I always thought, man, I wish we lived there. He did not give out a good sampling of candy. Usually it was a little tiny pack of Smarties. Ugh. But the place you always made sure to go to was the town handyman. Now, you could easily turn this into a horror story, and I know that my friend the gentleman scholar would probably like to do that. But the town handyman, he and his wife, who had passed by the time I knew him, they loved children, but they were never able to have their own. He lived in a simple cement block house. And no, I don't know if there was a basement. But every kid made sure that they got taken to his house on Halloween because he gave out full-sized candy bars. No Halloween size, no minis. Full size. It must have cost him a fortune by those days' standards, but he loved to do it. So much fun. Usually my mother would take us. Sometimes my dad. I always preferred mom because if mom took you, you were going to get to go to more houses. So your candy haul was going to be really good. And then, of course, well, the candy is the most important part of Halloween. You can run off on a spiritual path if you want. Or if you're one of those people that thinks that Halloween is shame, shame, bad, bad, and it's about Satan. That's all hogwash. You need to do your homework. But it doesn't matter anyway. The true meaning of Halloween is candy. But it's also scary movies. And when I was a kid, of course, the Hammer Studio films. I loved those things. Curse of Frankenstein, all the Draculas, Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Vincent Price. So you had all of the Hammer films, which I'm sure most people know about them. Certainly people in the UK know all about Hammer. But most people have seen the Hammer films. And then, of course, Vincent Price made so many outstanding movies. And these would get shown the entire month of October on local channels on their daily movies, the afternoon movie. I have such wonderful memories of that. And I've been doing that this month. I've been watching some of the old films, trying to sort of recapture it. When we moved from the small town and made our way to a large city, we still continued the practice. I was still of an age to go out trick-or-treating. And again, my mother was the one that normally would take us out. Though one Halloween she was not well, and my aunt took my cousins and us all out for the evening trick-or-treat, and it was kind of a rainy evening, which it often was on Halloween. And it was a lovely time, except here is where one totally idiotic adult can ruin something, can pee on a little child's dreams. I went up to one house. My cousins had already been there. They had moved on, and I was next. My aunt was standing on the sidewalk in front of this woman's house. She looks at me, this woman, and she says, "You've already been here." I said, "No, ma'am, I haven't been here." "Yes, you have. You've already been here." And my aunt heard this, and my aunt said, "Ma'am, we just got on this street. We've not been here before." And the lady took the treat, which was a miniature Tootsie Roll, not my favorite candy anyway, but she took the miniature Tootsie Roll, and instead of placing it in my bag, she threw it in her front yard, right near where probably her little dog had taken the dump earlier. So she placed a suitable Halloween treat of a Tootsie Roll right next to the dog poop. I did not go out in the yard and get that Tootsie Roll. Even then, I had enough self-respect to say, "No, I'm not doing that." I didn't say anything nasty to her either. I wouldn't have done that at my age to an adult. But my aunt was not happy, and she told me, "Just come on, let's forget about her." And it was a little upsetting. But that's the only time I ever had an unpleasant Halloween. Well, except for that escaping the asylum stuff. That was kind of hair-raising. But when I became a teenager, I wasn't going out anymore trick-or-treating, but I loved to still be at the door and hand out candy at our home. Still watching those movies. I knew a few people who didn't like Halloween, who truly misunderstood Halloween, who wouldn't let their children participate in it, which is truly unfortunate. Things certainly have changed since I was a kid and could enjoy Halloween. By the way, I don't know if I said this, the pipe maker is a Tekken. Well, I just wanted to get this video made about my favorite time of year. One of the wonderful things about October is not only is it a month where I can break out the sweaters and the caps and the hats, but it's that calm, that great calm just before the storm of the major holidays. Ick. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a subscriber. Hope to see you again soon. Take care.